Okay, it is June 5th, 2026, and this is my founder's journal for the week. This week was a tough week in business. I had just come back from a vacation. It's the first vacation I'd taken really like my whole career where like I didn't work at all on anything. You know, I've normally had like a full-time job and a business on the side, or school and a business on the side, or business and nothing on the side, or other little businesses on the side. So anyway, this was the first vacation I've ever taken where it was like I didn't bring my computer, my phone was off, and just didn't do anything. And it was awesome. Like, it was an incredible week with the family. Came back Friday night and just kind of like looked over numbers for the previous week on the weekend and was like pretty disappointed. So Monday rolled around and I had a call with my sales team because like they just didn't work the week before, right? So like I was out of town and they just kind of took the week off. Now that was frustrating for a couple of reasons, right? One is because, you know, I was trusting that they were just going to get the job done while I wasn't there, and that didn't happen, right? So it's like, okay, a little bit of trust was eroded. And then two, it was disappointing because it was a huge week for the company, right? We have some quarterly goals from a revenue standpoint that we're trying to hit. And, you know, if we can close deals at the end of May, we bill them twice in the quarter, right? We'd bill them at the end of May, we'd bill them at the end of June. Everybody knew this, right? Like the team knew that we had these goals we were trying to hit, and they knew that it was a really important week, and they still just mailed it in, right? So like made a couple of calls here and there, but, you know, not even close to even part-time output through the week. So that was really disappointing and kind of started the week out on a tough note. Then I got a little bit distracted because we had put an offer in on a house, and we're kind of going through the steps on that, and ended up pulling out because the house turned out had a bunch of meth damage. We didn't know that at the time of making the offer, but after getting under contract and going through disclosures, we learned that, and that kind of, you know, distracted me throughout the week. Then again on Friday, you know, it's like I'm trying to figure out, well, what's going on with our sales team, how are we doing, and similarly, like one of our sales reps just had terrible output on Thursday, like just didn't even really show up, put time in, wasn't making calls throughout the week till about noon. Like really disappointed even after having had a conversation with them about the previous week. It's funny, right? So it's like anytime you're in business, and I mean, like jobs are this way too. It's like things are going well, like you're closing deals, your MRR is growing, and like everything feels good and well. All right. And then all of a sudden, you know, you have a few weeks, or in our case, a month in May, where like our MRR dropped a little bit. And we've only probably had like 3 or 4 months in the history of the company where our MRR has dropped. And now it's like, all right, well, let's kind of look under the hood and see what's going on, and come to find out that like even when things were going really well, there was a lot of broken issues. So, you know, again, it's like we have this conversation on Monday. On Thursday, salesman isn't really showing up, like not making calls, call numbers are really low. So what do? We look at the numbers a little bit more than we normally would, and come to find out that all week, most of the dials that we're thinking like, oh, his effort has been high and he's getting the output that we expect and meets our standard, most of those were coming between like 6 and 9 p.m. All right, well, that's not normal working hours, and that's not a way of doing things. And like, why are we just dialing? You know, not even like having like long conversations. Sometimes we'll have like long sales calls after work hours, a prospect who just can't talk during the day. But I'm like, these are like high volume call numbers, right? So it's like we're just dialing late in the evening to hit numbers, to look good, hoping that nobody notices. But, you know, it's really on me, right? Because I should be looking at this stuff more regularly and keeping a closer eye on things. Anyway, so that was really disappointing. And Friday, you know, spent the day dealing with like, you know, we have to make a change here. We have to lay somebody off because they're not meeting our standards and they're not putting the effort in, right? Like I don't like firing people, but it's just when somebody can't put the effort in and you've had a conversation with them about it, like, all right, you know, we're expecting you to hit these call numbers. And then there's a combination of manipulating the system to hit the call numbers and also just not hitting the call numbers. It's like, look, man, this isn't going to be a good fit. And so that's really disappointing, right? And so, you know, I had to get a lawyer involved because I had a previous termination last year that didn't go well, and, you know, more concerned than I probably need to be. And so got a lawyer involved and had to pay for that and get feedback from them, and prepared to move ahead with the termination on Monday. So yeah, I mean, that was a tough end of the week. And then I've spent my whole day Saturday thinking through this stuff, right? And figuring out, well, what does this trickle down effect do to the rest of our team? Do we need to go and replace him right away? Or do we need to kind of step back and figure out, well, is this the right time to hire a salesman? Or are we just, I think if I'm being more succinct, this is what I would say. Goodly as a company has generally just worked. Grow month over month, and we make money, right? We're profitable. Because of that, it covers up all of these like really ugly things. You know, if I was to like compare it to a sports team, it's like you got Kobe Bryant, and it's like Kobe Bryant covers up everybody else's mistakes. Like you're just gonna win. There comes a point when that just doesn't work anymore. You reach a point in a playoff series or a title matchup where it's like he can't cover up those mistakes. And similarly at Goodly, it's like we reach a point where maybe our revenue is high enough now that like the mistakes can't be covered up, right? Or like we're trying to hire somebody and like scale up a sales team, but it's like actually at its foundations, like kind of a broken system. And so it doesn't scale effectively because it's not set up to do that. And so that's what I've been dealing with is like, do we have a true sustainable high growth system in place? And I've felt this way for months and months and months, right? Like, I don't think we do. You know, I don't think that our sales funnel is effective. I don't think that our service is at the quality it needs to be. I don't think we have a pricing model that like facilitates solid growth. I think our churn is too high, you know? So it's like eventually you get to a point where, you know, if you're churning out 3% of revenue every month, which isn't absurd in a business, but if you're churning out 3% of revenue every month, like that's a percentage. So it grows as your MRR grows. And you reach this point where one salesperson closing $4,000 or $5,000 a month of new business, they're just closing the amount that you're losing. They're not adding any net new revenue. And so you're spinning your wheels, you're bringing on new customers, you're doing everything you have to do just to stay flat. And like a part of me just kind of worries like maybe we've reached that point and like we have to go back and really solve some of these core problems. We need to retain customers better, which is just doing a better service, right? And actually our service isn't terrible. I think it could be better in some ways. Like I think there's some things that we need to add to it to really drive more performance for our customers. But like for us, I think it's more so the customer relationship management is terrible. We don't have any relationships with our customers, which is what more often than not these people want, is to have relationships that they can call on when they feel stressed. When they have a month like we just had, and they can call and talk to somebody that they know and vent and say like, this isn't working, I need to do something different. It's like, okay, all right, like let's have a conversation about it, you know. And we don't have that. So when that happens to our customers, they're just like, I'm done, I don't want to do this anymore, I'm canceling, this is a waste of my money. Or like somebody calls them and pitches them on like doing something different, and they're like, yeah, absolutely, right? Because we don't have that relationship with our customers. You know, I think our pricing model is such that like we don't have really any means to grow with our customers. So we always have to be closing new business. To me right now, it looks like ads. Like we have to get ads more dialed and like really confident that we can drive results with ads so that we give the SEO time to take hold, and we can grow with our clients by taking a percentage of ad spend, right? So like as we perform better and they're more incentivized to put more money in, we make more money as a company. And now we can grow revenue not only by selling new business, but also by, you know, just doing a really good job with our current book of business. You know, so like there's all these things that I'm like, we got to solve our sales funnel, we've got to solve our customer relationship problem, we've got to solve our pricing problem. And it comes down and it's like, dang, that sucks that there's a lot of stuff to do. And stuff that, again, really probably should have happened all along the way, but didn't because it was covered up by the fact that we just continued growing. Now, June could go through like July and August, and we could keep growing. You know, I'll probably feel a little better. But the truth of it is, there does come a point in every company with a subscription model that you reach that point where you can no longer grow, or you decrease the amount of revenue you lose every single month. And that like gives you a new ceiling that you can go hit. So increasing revenue, again, might look like what we just talked about, changing pricing models and, you know, upselling existing customers. It also could look like hiring new salespeople and just growing a sales force so that we can sell more into the future. And then, you know, the piece that I probably need to spend more time focused on is the churn piece. Like, how do we reduce churn? When we look at it, and I've never really looked at it this way, but like when you look at it in those two buckets, it's like sell more, reduce churn. Reducing churn is going to have the greatest effect on your ceiling, right? So like reducing churn by 1% is going to have a massive impact. The selling more becomes easier, right? As your churn decreases, like as your service gets better and as you're more confident in it and you have better case studies, and like the selling more gets easier. Like, yeah, you might still have to hire more salespeople, but that to me seems like the easier problem to solve, right? Is like selling more than to like solve for churn. It's just harder. It's a harder problem for me, right? And for somebody else, it might be different, but like it's going to take more work and it's going to be more difficult for the team. And so, yeah, I mean, I think even if we have a couple of really good months, like this has been eye-opening for me to like go through this exercise and really figure out like what are the core problems in our business and what do we need to solve. So even if we have some good months, like I think we're still going to get better as a company because I want to solve these foundational problems. The rest of my week was actually really good. Every single day I hit like 10,000 steps, lifted weights, played pickleball. The weather was great. Walked along the ocean every morning and loved that. Had some good time with my family. I got a couple weeks ago, actually it might have been like a month ago, I did a blood test, like one of those at-home blood tests. I think it was Rhythm. Came back with a score on TSH, which is like thyroid stimulating hormone, that was really high. And I've never really had like bad blood work before. I mean, my blood work hasn't ever been like amazing. I'm not like the healthiest person in the whole world. It's something I want to be, but like, yeah, it's hard because I like to eat a lot of sugar and don't always prioritize like lifting weights and stuff. But anyway, this TSH score came back really high. I start reading more about it, and it's like, yeah, if your TSH is high, you might be tired and you might like get dry skin and you might like all these things. And I'm like, yeah, I am kind of tired sometimes. And yeah, I do have like dry skin, like all these things. I'm probably in my head about it. It's probably the first time in my life that I've ever been like, okay, I need to like do something different. Like I probably should like lose some weight and eat better, right? Which is like really the thing for me is eating better. It's like, I just don't eat that well. I'm pretty active and I've never really had a problem doing anything I wanted to do. But I'm like, oh yeah, I probably could lose some weight, and it really comes down to diet. So yeah, we did like this week, I guess starting on Saturday, it's been like a full week, like no sugar and no gluten. My wife was like, these two things I think will help with the TSH. Started like taking some supplements. The first like few days of the week were just absolute hell because I just was like, I need some sugar. I was like, man, I am like uber addicted to this stuff. Anyway, it got better. So it's actually been really good. Like the week rounded out pretty solid, and I'm not feeling like the sugar cravings like I was at the beginning of the week. The gluten has not been a huge deal just because we probably don't eat a ton of that anyway. Yeah, just been eating like a lot of eggs and sweet potatoes and hamburger and rice. Yeah, that's all been something I'm working on, right? Like I think I'm down 5 pounds since we came back from Italy, which I was like a little heavier than I should have been. And hopefully just keep going down and keep getting healthier. We'll do some more blood work at the end of this month. And then my plan is to just start doing it monthly, like get that blood work every single month, make sure I'm staying in solid shape for my family and for me, like I want to be in good shape and healthy. So that was another thing we kind of were focused on this week. I mean, my time is like kind of pulled in a lot of different directions. I should be a little bit more focused on what I'm doing at Goodly. I don't know. Life is like a challenge. Obviously the business is still doing good. Like we closed our books at the beginning of the week, and like it was, May was a great month. Like really happy with how the month went from a profit standpoint. Yeah, there's a lot that we can do better, and I need to do better because I just think like I gotta work this muscle of like building business, building sales team, building product. Like that's the muscle to build. That's gonna benefit me throughout my life. Either buying businesses or building businesses or working in a business. Like that's the skill that I need to build, is like identifying problems, solving them, and like getting the work done. Yeah, that's it for now. That's all I got.